What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and how are you feeling? I'll tell you what, I hope you feel great because the moon is in Taurus. She's feeling excellent, and there are so many just little synchronicities in this reading that I'm just really excited to share here. I think that this is a really great time, just as because this is where the moon is exalted in her place, and we'll talk about more about that. But this is a time where really channel your exalted state and how to attract that. We're going to get into all that here in a moment. But if you're new here, my name is Justin, and know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. But this is also a place where if you happen to have Cancer in your placements, Sun, Moon, Rising, maybe Venus, wherever, this one's for you. Or if you just want to kick it with Cancer, there's nothing wrong with that. we welcome you here sometimes, no, all the time. But I also do tarot card spreads based on that lovely luminary, the good old moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, and when she's going to avoid, of course, just all them lunar shenanigans. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. I thought I'd come at that a little bit different because this is a dope energy that we're in. But before we get into that, depending on when you're watching this, happy Sunday. The sun is wild, right? The sun is associated with Sundays. And this is, I find, a great time really to just kind of check in with just like your vitality. The sun is that life force. Just really just kind of seeing where you're at. Maybe if this is something maybe to explore, if you have to schedule maybe a doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, something where you're working on the body, maybe try scheduling during the sun hour, or I know doctors don't always work on Sundays, I don't think, but maybe during the sun hour you might be able to catch one. So something to kind of explore there. But I also think that the sun days and hours too are really a great time for one to really shine, one to really kind of present oneself forward there. It's a really kind of regal energy that the sun can bring. Can be a great time for maybe even promoting oneself, kind of putting yourself out there on social media during like sun hours. Explore that, see what that might look like, and see what's going on with the transiting sun right now. So the sun's exalted right now. This would be a great time. So just some things to think about there. I also like to do another thing that I like to do during these sort of like planetary days is to think about the relationship with my son. I think about my sun placement quite a bit, and what sign it's in, what house is it in, and then thinking about how you deal with solar transits when the sun's transiting your placement. What does that feel like for you? And even working with like a solar return chart. I like to review my solar return chart around the on a Sunday, especially if not any other time, just like during the quarters for sure. But I like to check them on a Sundays just to see what's going on, how we're progressing through the year. So those are just some ways, some invitations to work with these energies there. But let's get into the lunar shenanigans, because on the 30th of March, the moon is going to enter into Taurus at about 1:16 p.m., and that's going to be Pacific time. And we're in a waxing crescent phase right now, and this is where the energies are they're starting to build. This is excitable energies right now. The moon hasn't quite formed a sextile with the sun just yet, but the energies are slowly starting to apply there. And I think that this is an interesting energy over these next couple days, because we'll have both the luminaries and Venus, who are all in this state of exaltation. The sun in Aries, the moon in Taurus, and Venus who's in Pisces. But Venus is retrograde in Pisces, and I think there's something there in that, because Venus is the one that rules over this Taurus energy. And I think there's something even connecting to that, in the sense of thinking about, again, when a planet is in its state of exaltation, its highest expressions are more easily expressed. The moon can really shine. And this is really talking about the growing aspects of the moon, because Taurus is the cardinal earth sign. They're receptive or yin in nature, and again, they're Venus ruled. And so there is this just sort of natural fecundity that comes with Taurus, especially being, there's just, they can, and I'm just talking about the energy in general. It really has this capacity to create. I think and to grow things and to create things of long lasting beauty, and it has the perseverance and the patience to put the energy into that, because you see what you get back from that. This is a lovely energy for the moon to be in. And I really think, again, this is a time while the moon is here to, especially while we have, because it's a nice balance right now. Sure, we have some planets that are in fall as well. We got a couple who are in detriment and a couple who are in fall. Mercury falls in both of those categories, uniquely enough. But I think that this is a time where the playing field is a little more level. So that just during this period of time, make the most of this. I think this is a good time to really think about how can I feel in that state of where I'm high in my highest vibration, where I'm showing up, showing out, and it's like I'm not trying to impress anybody but myself. This is like how can I be the best version of me today, and just watch how that spreads. I think that can really be said. That sun in Aries, you're setting a great role model. That moon in Taurus is really helping others grow. And then you're attracting more. You're helping people think about, oh my gosh, how do I attract the energy that they're bringing? That's what's up. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of energy I think that we have available to us right now. So definitely kind of play around and see this is actually a very active time in my chart. I have a lot of Leo placements. This would sextile my Sun placement and square my Saturn placement, or yeah, square my Saturn placement. So, this is an active time for me. So if you have any points around the fixed signs or any sort of like water placements, especially Scorpio, this is an opposition, but the earth signs, Virgo and Taurus, if you have those placements, this could be a lot of movement. Because that's forming trines with any of those planets that you may have there. So play around with the stuff, see what that looks like for you. But let's go ahead and while we're talking about exaltation, let's get into your general energy of the day. Because you got hexagram number 7, which is the army, and your changing line is number 2. And I always invite you with these two. There's a I think there's a website that I have, or that I've been working with, to just like to get just the kanji from for these slides. So I'll put a little link here in the video or in the description box, and you can look this up to see how you resonate with the changing lines that comes up there. But yeah, again, you look at line 2 for this, over this energy in Taurus. But what line 2 says is actually really dope, and it really, I think, ties in, like I said, to the energies really nicely, because it talks about flourishing in the ranks, safe and sound. The king thrice bestows titles. And like I said, there are 3 planets that are, well, 2 luminaries and a planet that are in this state of exaltation. So this could be where you might find yourself being bestowed these great titles. Oh my gosh, look at Cancer, looking all great. My Cancer, you've really just been glowing here lately. What's going on with that? You've really been, I love the mood that you're bringing. What's been going on with you? Like, are you doing something different? Are you new? Is there like a certain relationship? You could really become like the talk of the town, or of your group, your neighborhood, or the town, whatever you're doing. But I think that this is a great time, again, to flourish through the ranks, to rise above what is the standard, and not just doing this thing just for accolades and just for praise. Doing it because this is like, because it just feels good to know that you can do these things, that you have this capacity to be in this state and to experience this state often. It doesn't have to, there are days where, of course, where we want to take a break, where we want to turn it off, but days that we can really bring it and turn it on, like, let's show up a bit more, be a bit more present. And it can be just little things in life, paying people compliments for what you happen to notice, and watch how that energy comes back to you. It really does make a big difference. That safe and sound, what you put out there comes back. And it's not to say that there aren't things that life won't be lifing, but you'll find yourself not so swept up in it, because you're seeing things from a different perspective. Your rise, again, you're flourishing in the way. So we're not just in this place where we're surviving and we're just getting by here. That might even be the case. You may be just you may be living paycheck to paycheck. You might be doing this thing, but you know what? You got to figure it out. So you're flourishing, you're thriving. It may not be like the abundance, oh, I want to be like such and such, or I want to be here. Be happy where you're at, in a place that you're able to work, and know that and to want for more. To be able to know that I can, again, just really kind of show up here. And this could be where even when it talks about the king thrice bestows titles, pay homage too to the people who have been support, that support system in your group. Show them some love. Maybe take one out for lunch or for dinner if you happen to have, if they happen to live close, or just to express that appreciation. It doesn't have to be. It could just be just because it's a Sunday and you just felt like saying just, hey, I really just like I'm really grateful for all these things that you've done. And pick three people, and those who really been there, and just think of a kind thing, even, or you know what, if you don't feel like messaging them, or maybe you just got done messaging them, maybe just send out just some kind vibrations, just in that, even in itself, that kind of kind intention, again, can go just a long way. So yeah, I really like this energy that's coming through here during this moon in Taurus. I think there really is just some blessings that I think can really just kind of spread around here. So let's just really be in that over these next couple of days here. And it's not going to say, like, again, this is squaring a lot of my placements, so I may have to kind of be a little more active with that. It may take a little more effort, and that's fine. But it is possible, because I know what I do when I turn on my Leo placement. Man, it's a show, and it's delightfully aggressive. So just some things I think to think about with this energy here, and we'll kind of talk about this more here as we get into the tarot here. But let's go ahead and do that, because I'm gonna pull 6 cards here, and they are going to cover different themes, and I'm going to get a clarifier for card number 2, since that was the changing line that we were going to focus on today, just to see what's going on there. But your first card is going to be about any sort of short-term money matters, things along those lines, but this is not money advice or anything like that, so just be aware of that. Oh, how lovely. This is great energy for a Sunday. You got the sun. And see what I'm talking about? This is what's good. I think that this is a really great time to the reading's already starting off bright. It's really just kind of continuing the pace here. So I think that this is a great time to invite more sunlight into your life. This could be literally just like opening a window, getting more light into your space, something that I'm getting. But for your short-term money matters, do something nice for yourself. I think do something that, invest in yourself in a way that makes you shine. Do something that, if you've always wanted to like learn a language, I'm just thinking about literally like the sun placement too, and the sun just being in Aries, and this is just that pure expression of will. Look to see where the sun's transiting for you. That could be really some great information where you have Aries in your chart, because that's the area where the sun is coziest in. So, and that's where you can really do some great work here. But yeah, and I think that there's something too about people who've been there, because this butterfly coming out of this cocoon, people who've been there with you during that transformation too. I think there is something about paying attention to that. Those support systems can be invaluable. I'm with it. Absolutely, I'm with it. Maybe even traveling, spending some money, maybe taking a short little trip or something for someplace sunny that hasn't been available to you. We're getting some sun out here over here in Washington, so that's really nice. But let's talk about your next energy here, which is going to deal with medical matters. But this is not medical advice or anything. We're going to get a clarifier for this one as well. Okay. So you have the Seven of Swords here. And the Seven of Swords, one thing that I'm getting here is like it's a trying to focus maybe on the sunlight, but the mind is somewhere else too. Maybe this could be where there's, and this could be just on a base level. Maybe you do got a lot going on. And it's like it can be hard where to bring that sunlight even when there are things to put on maybe that facade in a sense. But there were some times, I've done a lot of like customer service. I'm, just kind of a people person. And there are times where I don't want to be, I got a 12th house sun. I don't want to be, sometimes I want to be bothered. But I find that, if I have to be bothered, if I'm going to have to be here anyway, I might as well make the most of it. What be miserable for? So it's like you may be living where you're in this sort of like two realms here with like the Seven of Swords. One where the internal may not be reflecting the external right off the bat, but maybe there's a way for you to change into that. Maybe kind of get into a different type of flow of that cycle. Maybe transform that in some sort of way. Kind of flourish when it's talking about flourishing in the ranks too. This could be just more kind of on an internal basis where maybe the army's been kind of low as of late. The morale has been down, but find yourself a space where you're safe and you're sound. Even just feeling safe and sound in the body, finding ways to do some grounding things, and bestow affirming yourself. That could be some things. I think with the Seven of Swords, this is coming up with. I think that it's an interesting energy what I'm getting. It's not like a where you're denying what's going on here. But it is understanding that that where I may be in this situation right now, things can change here. But let me get a clarifier with the Seven of Swords here. A lot of thinking here. So you have the Ace of Swords here. And this is just there's a, it's almost like there's a thought right now. Maybe we're not sure. Because it's like this sun, maybe it's like, this could be where maybe you're just like investing money on a test. Maybe the way the sun card is coming through is that we're just getting some information on some things. Maybe we're thinking about, this could be like a pregnancy test, thinking about why, because that's a life-changing thing. Or this could be where maybe you're looking, there's something's been off with the body. And we just want to get some eyes on that. We're trying to block it off, but now it's becoming more than we can bear, and like it's things are getting, the mind's getting very scattered, and I'm thinking this like there's something about not being able to be where this maybe this level of duality or fluctuation is not functioning, it's not being constructive. And I think that there's an awareness here, and I think that whatever this thing is, and whatever's needing to be acknowledged, this thought, whatever's been maybe on your mind here, I think that it'll change things, but there will be light at the end of this. It's where the sun may set. This may be a setting sign or setting time, like a waning phase, a lower end of the sun. The sun always rises again, and it comes fresh, renewed, revitalized, just like the sun just did now, just coming into this equinox energy. So yeah, there's like an idea of like how we're going forward from something, and really being honest about how we can go forward with this thing, kind of maybe wrapping your head around something here. And it's just been feeling maybe just a little scattered, is what that Seven of Swords is giving me. But let's get to your third card here, which talks about any sort of like legal matters or social affairs, things along those lines. Let's see what's going on in the social sphere. And this is not legal advice or anything along those lines. Oh, look at these aces. So you have the Ace of Coins here. This could be, I'm getting one thing for, and we're getting a little bit more on this in the romantic or in the romance section of this, but the legal matters, one, this is like thinking about an investment with something. Maybe we're starting up some kind of contract. I got like a hint at like maybe a marriage, or maybe it's a divorce, or this, some sort of like, or maybe even some sort of like property thing, or where again where we're doing some sort of like contracts or things along those lines. That could be maybe where maybe you're coming into like a partnership. You need to come up with some sort of document here. There's gonna be multiple hands at play here. Maybe you're Hmm. Yeah, just get some just like some busyness, some things that are kind of like coming up into the surface there. But I think even too for social affairs, this would be a great time to do some socializing, maybe doing some networking for some prospects possibly here, maybe just doing some an idea for like a promotion possibly, maybe you're creating like a course, maybe you're creating some sort of something, to get just to get yourself out there more, to shine more. And it might be some sort of like short-term investment here. That might be, and that might be where what's going on here. Maybe you're feeling this with this seven of swords. Maybe there is this. It might be a mix of like excitement. Maybe there's some butterflies in there. Maybe something. No pun intended. But maybe there's some butterflies. Some and anxieties maybe that are coming on there about a decision there. But even if that's the case, I would think try not to get too much in your head about something. And maybe you need to get a patent. Maybe you're thinking about you want to start up an LLC or something, but you're thinking about all the jargon, all of the things that we'll have to do. But you can find people who can know this stuff, or maybe again do some crowdsourcing, whatever that might look like for you there. But let's go ahead and get to your next card, which, like I said, talks about any sort of like romantic matters, marriage, things along those lines. Okay. So you got the Two of Coins here. And this to me, I see a relationship changing. And I think that not necessarily in like it's I think it's like it's starting to we're getting into a certain type of flow right now. We're trying to figure out each other's pace. This bear is watering this plant, and plants require different levels of light, different levels of water, and just certain temperature conditions. And that's what I'm thinking is coming through here right now, or at least what I'm feeling. It's like a balancing of energies and like kind of watering this thing gently. I really love this Two of Coins here. And I'm getting if there's been just maybe a lot of. It seems like maybe there's been a lot of like. If things have been busy as of late, maybe you've been tied up with like a work or like a project and things. I think this is like maybe finding a bit more harmony in your kind of work and love life balance here. Maybe you've just been feeding your one love, and that's great. But it's nice to have maybe someone to share in that. So maybe that's something you're thinking too. Maybe how to balance those two things out. Or maybe that might even be a question: is this the time to do that? Like if it's becoming too much, where you're weighing the options, it's like, man, I really don't want to, but can't quite find the thing. Yeah, this may be just a need to maybe it's slowing it down, just adjusting to it, a different type of space here, maybe having a different kind of expectation right now, maybe give yourself a different sort of timeline on when you're ready to maybe start something here, or maybe it might be someone starting up something. But yeah, that's what I got for you there. Let's get into your fifth card here, which talks about any sort of like immediately pressing affairs. See what's going on with you. Interesting. So you have the Two of Wands here. And the Two of Wands, to me, it's like we're kind of a bit like how this lizard's out here. We're kind of at a crossroad. We're looking to, looking fro, and kind of like how the Seven of Swords. Maybe it's like we're thinking about, we want to go somewhere, but we're looking back. The mind is split, and it's leading to this energy split. And even maybe this Two of Coins could be where it's like it almost seems like we're kind of starting up things, because that's interesting, because of an urgency maybe to start up here. I'm not quite like that. That's an interesting message that's coming through. But if it's not something that like maybe you hear like the craze is like, oh, everyone's getting in a relationship right now, but if it's not your time to get in one, you may not, maybe these people you're going through, they are going through like seventh house transits right now, and you're in like a ninth house thing, or maybe you're in like a fourth house thing, or maybe you're in like a whatever type thing, something that's not really just jiving. I think that this is a deciding like where are you wanting to go, where do you want to, the two of wands is where you're directing your energy. This is Mars and Aries, this card. So well, this is a decisive action that's needing to be taken here, whatever this thing is. If you're starting up a new sort of endeavor, maybe this two of coins is, if this is not like a romantic relationship, again, maybe we're forming some sort of contract. We're trying to find out how to get our maybe like messaging across, possibly that might be something that's coming through. But yeah, just something to meditate on. Let's get your last card here, which talks about the destiny or the karma of the situation. Yeah, and like I said, it's just like kind of busyness. You got the eight of coins here. And so, maybe for some, I think that there's whatever is going on here. I think that there is a lot of work, but it is something where, because when you're in this state of being in that state of exaltation, it requires effort, because sometimes you want to just say F it and just have a day. And you totally can. But then we get back to work, then we get back to doing the great work and flourishing through the ranks, and then bestowing the titles. And this may be something where, again, you may get no, because usually the eight of coins is just kind of busyness just for busyness, and not for business sake, but busyness without really getting the recognition for your efforts. But you might even get recognized for your efforts. If not by anyone else, you recognize your efforts. Again, you don't have to look for any sort of validation for anything. You just need to know that you're doing a great job, and that you're figuring this thing out, and that you're thriving in this experience here. So that might even be another thing that's just kind of coming up through there. Maybe something where you're doing a lot of personal kind of introspective work, but that's fine. Like no one needs to. We don't need a round of applause. You know what you do at the end of the day. So I like that. Let's get some advice from Venus. Okay. So you have the Eight of Swords here. And let's go ahead and switch over. Because to me, this Eight of Swords is maybe... It's like you want to feel like you're flourishing, but something is getting in the way. Maybe you got, seeing this bird is like over you can see the map of the world here. Maybe you got the weight of the world on your shoulders right now. You're feeling constricted. How can you feel this? How you can feel like you can flourish in this time right now? But this is a great time. There's a lot that's going on here, and flourishing looks differently on everybody, like how we're getting through this journey here. And I think that this is Jupiter and Gemini, and I think that there's a lot that's going on in the world. And I do think that there's this thing is just like, a needing to, where, yeah, there is a lot happening. My job isn't just the world. How can I, if I'm weighed down, I can't show up for the world. So this can be a way, again, of finding a way to kind of free yourself up, to kind of narrow the noise down so you can focus on where you can get some real optimal growth. Because where Jupiter's in detriment in Gemini, I find where it can focus, Jupiter can get a lot of information in a very specific thing and can digest it really easy, and it can integrate a lot of these things quickly. So I think that there's something there. It's like allowing yourself to kind of free up your mind a little bit, and maybe this is like you're feeling this energy, but maybe it's harder to keep because the people around you maybe aren't feel again the same vibration, and it's just like this is not something that you have to force on other people. If they want to be in a mood, they're allowed to be in a mood. This is their journey, but it doesn't have to affect your mood. And if it gets to a place where they are interfering with you, when they're lowering the vibe, it's like, yo, we either need to talk about this constructively, or you're gonna have to take that over there. Like, I'm good on that, so that might be just something to consider, because Venus, we're talking about advice from Venus. She's about relationships, and she's retrograde in Pisces, and this is a great time to express one's feelings in a way, I think, that will land well, that can kind of help, like, oh wow, kind of help people become aware of themselves, like, oh, right, you're right, I am coming all kinds of sideways. Let me check myself. So one can hope. But yeah, just that's some things to think about. I think that's all I got for you there. So if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know somebody who can get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And subscribe there, you son. Hit that bell button to get notified when I release videos each day. And then I'm going to be shuffling for your surprise cards here. But if you want to know what's going on with the sun or the other celestial bodies, in the description box there's a link for my other channel, Alchemist 8, where I release, one thing I release is videos every Mercury day. That's on a Wednesday. And they're videos about the different transits, and it's talking about what sign that they're transiting through, so you can see what part of your chart or what houses or houses are being activated for you, what you're needing to reflect on, what the focus is, and just how to work with the energies, how to put it in as much practical application as possible. And then I'm doing this little series where, well, it's not a little series, it's kind of a big series, where I'm talking about different planets in different signs in different houses. And I got these 12-sided dice here, and I'm going through the classical planets right now. That's the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do the outer planets. I don't think I am. But at least there's information for these ones on you, and I have them under different playlists and things. So yeah, definitely check that out. But let's go ahead and get into your surprise cards here. Oh, I'm with it. So you got the amulet card here. And look at all these little knickknacks, thingamajigs, the trinkets. And I think that's something where there can be power in that. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get like a little trinket. This could be something, maybe, you know what? This is Mimi. This is someone got this when they went to Guatemala, and they got this. They got this for me as a gift. And yeah, she just hangs out. She's a little sassy. She's got this whole vibe, and she just sort of chills, and protects the space. Her and Ralph. So this is, so you see, I got a lot of tools here, and I think that it's calling on those things that help raise your vibration. Like, I love this little whatever this is. And I think that, having like a certain necklace, maybe that shines like the sun. Maybe you get yourself working with citrine. Yes, citrine can be one that can be very beneficial. But, maybe it's just like having just like a little, again, little amulet, a little token, little something. Maybe maybe create a talisman that can help you bring more mindfulness into your day. I like working with like the satin spar, or I got all sorts of stuff here. Kyanite is a nice one. I got the big old thing of tourmaline, a nice little chunk of tourmaline downstairs. But yeah, I think that's what I really feel this energy is calling here. The use of the earthy things. I love that since we're talking about Taurus. And it's not relying on things outside of yourselves. It's utilizing them to remind you of the power that you do have within. You don't want to be this thing helps me get into this place, but it's more so that this thing helps remind me that I can access this whenever I'm ready. Right? It's just whenever I'm in the awareness. It's just like sometimes, we can get caught up in the storm, and so we can use those kind of earthy things to help ground us and get back in touch with the body. So that's just something that's just really kind of coming through. That's very Venusian. I like that. So something to think about, but I think I'm going to leave that there. So go out there and flourish. But until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. Oh, and, keep eyes on that moon. And I will catch you on the next one, Mars Day.